Hey, honeys, today we are going to look at how to write a resume. So, first off, it needs to be 100% truthful. Don't pull a template off the internet and pull things that aren't actually about you or say that you've done certain things or have certain skills, but you don't. You also want to kind of think like you are trying to sell yourself and why the manager or this company should hire you above all other applicants. So, you want to be very convincing. You want to be very professional. And this is often the very first way that they see you because we're applying online or we're sending our resumes in before we actually like walk into the actual facility. So it's the first impression. Make sure that, everything is capitalized how it needs to be, that it looks very professional, that it looks good, doesn't have any typos or spelling errors or anything like that. You also want to tailor your resume to the job that you're applying to. So often you might have several different resumes. You might have, a fast food or a food industry. You might have retail sales. You might have more of an office type job, construction type resume. For each of those different types of jobs that you're applying to, they have different skills that they're really looking for. You want to tailor your resume to highlight those specific skills for that job. You also want to think like the employer, and they are going to give your resume maybe 60, 90 seconds at the most. So, as an employer, what are they looking for? Make sure you have that highlighted on your resume. All right, so for style points, you want to make sure that you're using phrases and not sentences. There's only one area that actually has a full sentence, and it's going to be at the very top. After that, it's phrases, bullet points. You want to stay concise. Again, people like managers are important and busy. They don't have, this isn't the only thing that they're doing in their day. So you want to make sure that it looks and reads very easy. You want to stay simple, you want to stay tasteful. Make sure that your bullet points are all the same, consistent. You also want to make sure that the important information stands out and that it's easy to kind of skim over and see how it is organized. If you are using bullet points, make sure you're using a consistent bullet point. And then also, if you are aligning things to different parts on the page, make sure that vertically they're also aligned and not just horizontally. All right, so your different components that you're going to have in your resume are going to include your personal info, like your contact info. I'm going to go over each of these more specifically in the upcoming slides. You also want to have your objective. What is it that you're trying to get? Is it full-time, part-time? What kind of a job? What skills and abilities are you bringing? What is your educational background and what are you currently working on? Do you have work or volunteer experience? So if you don't have any actual work experience, as most high school students don't, you're going to want to highlight the volunteer experience and things that you have done prior to. You can also include extracurricular activities and things like that too. You should include 3 references. 3 references are usually requested for any application or like the second stage of a job application. So you want to make sure that you have 3 that are readily available. Don't put references available upon request because they're always going to be requested. For your education, you can also include courses taken. You could do any community service or volunteering that you've done and activities and awards. But these larger bullet points are like the essentials that every resume should have. All right. So for your personal data, you're going to make sure that your full name is on there. And you want to make sure that it stands out, that this should be like the largest thing that is on the page. And you want your full last name. So if you have a hyphenated last name, make sure you include that. Now, when I say full name, you don't need to include your middle name. You can include like your initial if you want to. And if your name is Timothy, but you go by Tim, like you can certainly put Tim. You want to have your street address, your phone number, and especially your email. So telephone and phone number telephone and email are super important. That's pretty much how we contact and communicate. Although having your addresses on there, nice on there too. But your name should be the most noticeable thing on the page. So it would look something kind of similar to this. Again, you may always play around with the format, the font, how it looks, but you want to have good, consistent information. Make sure you're not abbreviating too many things. Like you don't want to say SAC or GB for like Granite Bay. Like write it out. Oh, and make sure that your email is professional and it's not like, glitterkitten67@gmail.com or something silly like that. You want to make sure that you have a good professional email. You can have one email that is specifically designated to all of your job hunting, maybe even like job and college applications, where you don't give it out to spam things or anything like that. All right, your objective. So your objective is like, what is your career goal? What is it that you're trying to do? And I would recommend tailoring this to every type of job that you're applying for. So if it's retail sales, you have several that are like you could apply to Target, Tilly's, anywhere in the mall, Michael's. Um, but that way you can reuse that resume over and over. Then if you're going to apply for like a restaurant job or food services or grocery store or something, you're going to tailor it a little bit differently. So the objective should answer a couple questions like what is it that you're bringing to this job? What is it that you are looking for? Absolutely, like logistically, is it part-time or full-time? And then what kind of a position is it as well? You should usually begin with a infinitive like to obtain, to enter, or to continue. I have seen some that say like motivated high school student looking for. That's okay too. I just like the to obtain, like it's straight to the point. Like, what is it you're trying to do? So, something like this to obtain entry level position in construction where I can apply my experience in framing and gain additional experience. So, you see what kind of a job this person is looking for, what the hours kind of are that they're looking for, the level that they are looking at entering, also, what is their experience and what are they hoping to gain from it. Here's another sample to obtain an entry level position in banking where I can gain experience and knowledge for a potential career in financial services. So, especially if you're applying for a position that you hope to then eventually make a career out of, highlight that. Like, if you are looking to do a tutoring program and you want to be a teacher, or you're like getting into construction, you're hoping to have a long term career in that, put that in there because that kind of dedication and showing that maybe you want to work your way up in the business looks really good. All right, skills and abilities. So you want to list any experience, qualification, any job skills, character traits, things that employers may value. Now, if you don't really know what these are, Google it. Go to like Indeed or careers.com and look at their websites and see what some of the things are. You can also just go to Google and say, what are 20 skills that a high school student might have to put on a resume and go through those and ones that you're like, yeah, I have that, put it on there. Again, if you are not a communicator, if you struggle to talk and like collaborate with other people, don't put that you have good interpersonal skills because you don't. You can also categorize these. So, like if you've got money management skills, like write out and explain what those are. If you have good communication skills, give evidence and explain. You can also just list various skills, like 5 or 6 various skills that you have that an employer would look for. A good thing for this is to also look at the job description on their website or on the job posting, see what it is that they're looking for, maybe look into the background of the company a little bit. What kind of employees are they looking for and what are the things that the company values? Can you highlight that on your resume? All right. So your education, you're going to list the names and locations of high schools and then post-secondary schools that you attend or have attended. So when you're in high school right now, you're going to put that you're in high school. You're going to put when you're going to graduate, maybe your GPA, special courses, clubs, things that you've been participating in. Just show like an active engagement in high school and the even like the community. So if it's church or other related, like you can put other things that you do. You can also put that in a separate section if you want to. But basically, what are some things that you've been doing while you're in school? Now, once you graduate and you go on to college, you're going to delete all that stuff and you're just going to put Granite Bay graduation or graduate 2028 or whatever year you graduated, and that's it. Then you start filling up what you're doing in college and when you are expecting to graduate from college. So, for example, like for my old high school, this could be something that a student would write. They would put the school, they would put their current grade, you can also put like when your expected graduation year is, especially if you're like a junior, senior, and it's getting close. GPA, I'd say anything above a 3.0 would look good. So put the GPA. And then if you have any special or additional electives that you have taken, or maybe you've taken really high advanced courses early on, put those. It's going to show, dedication. It's going to show hard work. It's going to show that you're intelligent. But also some of these other courses that you guys have can teach you other soft skills that are not necessarily emphasized in regular like English, math, science type classes. And some may have something to do with the career that you're applying to. All right, work experience. So you want to include all full-time, part-time jobs that you've had for at least more than a month. Really, it should be like 3 months. May include volunteer work, or you can make that its own section. So if you have no work experience, turn work experience into volunteer experience. And you want to go from the most current, and then as you go down the page, it would go older and older and older. You can put months or years or like the approximate time that you did this. And then you want to make sure that you list the responsibilities that you did for each job or volunteer experience. Even like the basic things that you might not think are important, like, oh, I had to sweep, I had to like disinfect counters. Like, even those basic things are going to be useful in your work experience. So here's an example. I've got like approximate dates and years of when I worked, looking at the store, what your job title was, and then a bulleted list of the things that you had to do. Especially if you don't have a lot of experience, really think creatively about this and like list out all of those things. If you have worked with kids, if you have babysat, even if it was things that you didn't necessarily get paid for, but you were expected to do it, more than just chores, like how can you list that out and show that you're a hard worker? All right, activities and honors. This can include sports. It can include church organizations, community organizations, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, anything like that that you have been working on in the last few years. You don't want to pull anything from elementary school or middle school. And again, you're just going to think of how you're going to organize it. If you have honors or awards that you've received, list those out. If you have participation in a club, in an elective, in a program, in a sport, you're going to list those kinds of things. You may include also like what your responsibilities are for them, or what like the time commitment was. All right, and last, you're going to have references. So these are going to be people that know you, that will speak well of you to an employer. You want to think of good references like former employers for sure, as long as they can say good things about you. If you left on bad terms, don't put that. If you have religious leaders or leaders of any like community organization that you participate with, coaches are great, club sponsors, teachers, neighbors, counselors, other school staff that are adults that know you. You absolutely cannot list mom and dad, grandma, grandpa, anything like that. Siblings, friends, you can't list those people. Those people are obviously going to speak well about you, but it's going to be invalid to the viewpoint of an employer. And you want to make sure that these are people who can talk about your work ethic, your reliability, how well you work with others, those kinds of things. All right, you always want to make sure that you talk with the person before you use them as a reference. You want to make sure that you get their email and their phone number. And then what I also recommend is every time that you fill out a job application or you put something in that seems like it's going to be serious, let those people know so that they can be aware and alert um, in case they are getting called for references on you. And then you always want to include them on your resume. So it would look something like this. It would have the name, it would have their job title or their relationship to you, their phone number, and their email contact. All right, so here's what a kind of generic student resume would look like. You've got the name at the top, you've got all the components. It's pretty basic, it's spread out, it's very consistent. We have consistent formatting, bulleting. The headings are all on all capitals. It's very easy to read and quickly skim through. And again, it's one page, especially until you are entering your career. It is one page only. All right, so then the next thing is here's like what a more career type resume would look like. So for example, this was mine a few years ago when I had already been teaching for several years. I had various certifications, I had a lot of experience, and I would like list those different things out. Within the career, you may have different skills or sections that you would have to include, and that's going to vary based on the career that you are in. And then what I did is I put little quotes as pop outs from my letters of rec. So, for example, for certain careers, you need to have letters of recommendation. And so, what I did is I highlighted some of the points that people had made on my resume. All right, so this is going to be like a very basic, easy to use Google Doc that is a sample student template. Here's my sample. And if you click right here, it will take you to a blank template that you can go in and put your information in. All right, honey, sorry for the bells. You got this.